Good morning. Welcome to Get Hooked on Strategy with me, LT. This is the weekly check-in where we are turning strategy into a habit and not a chore. This should take less than 10 minutes. It's something that I want to be able to do for myself and then allow anyone and everyone to join in and just get things moving, make a commitment. This is how anything becomes productive. The same with the diet, same with being committed to any change in your life. You have to keep at it and keep measuring and keep going and tracking. And so I did a terrible job at that last year. So this is my commitment to myself. And I'm proud to say that this week we've reached a milestone. It is past Q1 and time to really look at taxes, budget, review. So in the strategic plan, this is sort of a key time. Earlier in January, February, we had a lot of annual reviews. Now it's time for quarterly things. So we were getting a little bit slow there with just weekly checking on transactions, not a whole lot of high level things that we needed to do or immediate things. We're working on action plans that we had created. So had moved more into the execution portion of it instead of the review portion. So today we'll do like we always do, and I'm going to switch to screen share and go to our calendar. So this is a calendar that you can request access to, and then you're able to copy these dates onto your calendar if it's something that you don't have, or just review it to see if there's something missing from your calendar. I live in New York State, so last week there was actually 2 weeks ago, there was a sales tax submittal. We had a risk review. So this is the quarterly risk review where we're doing a quick look at what's on the risk list and evaluating whether any of those are coming near to happening. So we're looking for the indicators, we're looking for triggers, we're looking for anything that we might need to take action on that is a potential risk about to happen. So if you haven't done that, add that to your reviews to do. And then you can add, always. Last week we talked about keeping your strategic plan agile and flexible. If at any time you have a risk that you think you need to add that you've thought of that's come up, you should have a means to be able to add that, not wait until the next go around or the next cycle. In the past, when people have done strategic plans in 1 year go arounds and 3 year go arounds, this is how they get hit with risks that happen, is because they have not been adding them as they need to. And in some cases, if you're a bigger company and there's a person who's in charge of risk, this would be something that they'll be doing more often. It won't be even part of maybe the strategic plan in this type of way. But for us in small business, it probably is. So I just want to share again what this risk review register looks like in the template. So there's a little bit of instructions on the first page, some samples to get you thinking about what is a risk, what should you be entering. There's some here depending on the different type of company that you might be. So there's some generic ones, and then there's something more for like something that's into design or construction, maybe manufacturing, where you have regulations and things to think about. And then we have the 2 different levels. So simple is for a small company, as someone just starting out, just start thinking about things that could be risk to your company. So if we go back to the sample risk events, there are things about in-house things that you can control, some external risks that you need to keep an eye out on, things that could happen in your project, like poor time and allocation of resources. These are all things why we want to keep strategy easy, fun, exciting, and something that we are not overburdening ourselves with, so that we don't make strategic plan an actual risk for ourselves. And then if you are someone who really likes spreadsheets or has a potential for a lot of really serious risk in your business, you may want to use something more like this that is a little more interactive and has sort of the type of responses that you might do. This is something you'd need to look up an article for. You can go back to the week in the past where we talked about this a little bit more. There's some articles shared there. And okay, I don't want to spend too much time there because that was just a review from last week. This week, as you see, we don't have, this is something I need to add, is a quarterly. I'm not seeing the budget. So quarterly, we should be really updating the budget sheet. So we go to the template, I've moved budgets into a separate thing because I didn't feel one sheet really covered everything I needed, and I want all my budget things in one place. So let's look at where we have budget reviews in here. And so return on investment and budget alignment. Now you have, this is just the template. So you have the ability to put wherever you want to have these. If you want to have a daily check-in, a weekly check-in, a quarterly, biannual, and then how lengthy those would be. So I want to go ahead and put it on my calendar. This is the strategic calendar. I think everyone should be doing at least quarterly. And I'll make a note to add this when I'm through here. And if you're using something like this or using a check-in sheet, tracking sheet, then you want to update that info here. And then this is what I came up with so far. I'm not quite finished with updating the budget sheet that I said I used to have just the one, sorry for bouncing back and forth, one budget sheet in the strategic plan tracking, but I didn't feel that covered everything I needed, and I wanted it in one place, like the scorecard that we talked about previously. So this is what I've got so far: the customers, financial, learning and growth, and internal business sections, and the objectives for each measures. Now, obviously, I have one that's filled out. This is something that you can download. It will be in the description of the YouTube video that you can get and fill in yourself and customize yourself. And then we have some of our targets and the tactics, how we will get there. So you'll end up having one row that maybe says increase revenue, how will you measure it, your target. This is short-term target, long-term target, and then tactics. So you may actually have several rows here because you have 3 to 5 things that actually reach back to that objective. So this will expand. And then you'll enter, this is what we're talking about right now, Q1 objective or numbers. So this is the importance of having a balanced scorecard. One, after Q1, after Q2, it'll show us if we're on the right track and we're meeting the measure and the target that we set for ourselves. Are we on track to meet the long-term goal? And then if we need to tweak the tactics, add a tactic, that's all here too. And then those feedback around when we go back through the planning cycle, those all feedback around when we get to next year's decision on, we'll have the scorecard review and targets reviews, and that's something that we would look at, and that would all feed into our SWOT and priority matrix onto what we'll be doing next year. So every little thing that we do is connected to the next thing that we're going to do. And then these next pages are actually taken from QuickBooks, which has been a really great tool for me in seeing what my budget is doing. So this is, I have not changed any of this. This is directly from QuickBooks. They have a directions. They have a page where you fill in different categories of income, your expenses, and then the last page, it gives you a summary. So this all, you can see how it would help you align with the scorecard, especially in the financial section. And then I have, this is something that I've been using for myself, and it has, like you see, quarterly. So this is where I would be filling in for this week in the quarterly sections. And this was kind of the budget I set for myself. You put your own budget limits in there. And then you can see how this would tell you annually what kind of baseline income you need to have just to meet your operating costs. So if I have the list of software that I need to purchase, how much it is monthly, annually, it totals it up for me here. And the same thing with how much my websites and how much my memberships and advertising cost, and it will give you an annual total. So that will tell you if you want your annual income to be $80,000, but all of these things combined cost you $10,000, you'll actually need to at least make $90,000 to make that goal. So that's what this here is for and why it's part of your planning actions and how that feeds in. So that's everything that I wanted to talk about this week. And we will have for the homework to fill out this budget sheet that I showed you. And last week's again was to go really quick through the risk review. So those 2 pieces of homework. And I hope you all have a great week. And that's my 10 minutes. Enjoy the rest of your day.